This is a full body flexibility routine to get your body ready to handstand. Now it's for the average person and nobody's average. So just make sure you modify as needed for your body. Obviously take into consideration any injuries, aches, pain. Where you're particularly tight, spend more time. Where you've got flexibility, spend less time. I've put in 30 to 60 second times for each of the stretches. Just modify that as needed to fit you. So let's jump straight in with the first stretch, which is the couch stretch. It can be done up against the wall, so it's mainly focusing on that quad hip flexor area. So I'm going to take the knee as close as I can to the wall. Now it's called the couch stretch because you can do this up against the couch. This is more aggressive if you do it against the wall. Now the goal here is to get the knee all the way up to the wall and try and push the low back towards it. So we're going to try and get a posterior tilt. Also notice how upright I am. So you don't want to be leaning forwards, and be careful this doesn't pull through your low back. If it does, just come out of the stretch a little bit more. You can also modify it by changing the position of that front foot further or closer to the wall. Now I'm going to get more into the hip flexor, so higher up towards the hip. So I'm going to keep the knee where it is, or I can move it a little bit further away from the wall. And I'm going to push the hips forwards. Now I can just sink into this, or I can push off the wall. Again, be careful of this one that it doesn't dump into the low back. If you're more flexible, you can take the head down towards the toe, but just be careful that you're not overusing one area in particular. And then obviously same thing on the opposite side. So fine tune that knee position in terms of the distance away from the wall, posterior tilt, try and get the low back to touch the wall, nice upright torso. Now you can raise the hands up in the air on these ones as well. That ties in the upper back lats through that thoracolumbar fascia down into the pelvis area. Then again, more into that hip flexor, so taking the hip away from the wall and trying to open up as much as you can. And always interesting to compare left to right sides. I would just spend a little bit more time on the tighter side. Okay, two options for the forward fold here. So I'm just going into a standard forward fold, trying to pull my elbows towards the floor. Now, if this one is particularly tight for you, you might want to do a single leg one, or have one where you're laying your back on the floor and have your leg up against the wall or a post, just so the back doesn't compensate too much. Now I can pull on the legs to make it harder, and I'm trying to pull the elbows towards the floor, or I can move in closer to the wall. Now this one I'm going to sandwich myself between the wall and my legs. I wouldn't do this one if you're particularly tight in the hamstrings. I would save this for when you're a bit more flexible. But if you are more flexible, go with this one, trying to pull the head down towards the floor. So a good goal is to try and get elbows to kiss the floor there. Now see how my spine is lengthening. So I'm becoming two straight pieces. So I have the legs as one and then the spine as the other. And the goal is to try and sandwich them together. So you can fine tune this and keep trying to move the feet closer to the wall. You might need to go in and out using that bent knee to access and exit the position. Okay, pigeon stretch. Now this one's particularly tight for me, so I'm going into a 90 degrees at the knee, and I'm trying to sit that butt back as far as I can. Now with this one, the back hip flexor tends to get in the way. So if it gets in the way a lot, you can increase the height that the mats are in the front foot, or you could even put your foot up on the couch or on a chair or a box. And that just takes out the back leg. Now if it's easy, just make sure everything's square. So 90 degrees at the knee, square to the hip, and then try and take the chest down to the floor, keeping the back flat. Then just doing some straddle good morning. So with this one, trying to keep the back flat, stick the butt backwards as you do this. And I'm just trying to go as deep as I can. So similar to the forward fold, but you're in that slight straddle position, making sure you open and close the hip and fully open the hip so you don't have a hip crease. So there's no bending forwards at all. For the thoracic and shoulders, I'm going to use a foam roller. So I've put the foam roller on my bottom rib. I'm trying to keep the low back from arching, so my abs are engaged. And I'm holding my head lightly to stop my neck compensating. So I'm trying to get all the movement from where the roller is. And then I'm going to roll up and down. Now with this one, I can take the hands towards the floor, also the butt towards the floor, while trying to keep the biceps by my ears and my arms straight, and just rolling over that thoracic area. With the shoulder stretch, using a box, I've got my thumbs pointed upwards, my hands are shoulder width apart. I go into a posterior tilt with my hips directly above my knees and my toes pushed into the floor. And then while looking at the box, I'm going to try and drive the shoulders and chest towards the floor, trying to keep those arms dead straight. Okay, fingers and hands, this one will be very different for the individual, but basically just go to the point where you feel like you can load the hands. So index finger forwards is a good place to start with fingers spread, shoulders on top of the hands. Do circles. And then peeling the hand up and down. So you're peeling through the palm, through the knuckles, through the fingers. And you can move your hands into different directions. Then finishing with the fingers pointing backwards, walk the knees in towards the fingers and sit the butt back towards the heels. So you're stretching those forearms. Then I'm going to go back to that good morning position, that standing good morning. Then I'm going to transfer weight up into the hands and shoulders and decrease the weight in the feet, trying to get up onto tiptoes. Then in a kneeling position, I'm going to put the thumbs by the knees, and then I'm going to try and straighten the legs as best I can, trying to transfer as much weight to the hands and shoulders and compress the body as best I can. If that's hard on the toes, I can turn the toes over and be more on the balls of the feet. And now you should be ready for handstand. Normal deal, thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments or send me a message direct. And I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.